So we're here with Conrad de Menil and his movie Prism, which is part of our short film in competition program. Super excited to talk about Prism with you, Conrad.
Thank you.
Our good friend of the festival, Zach Wolf, was your editor, and he told us about your film a while ago. So tell us. I think it was based off a short story. He was telling me the
Yes,
same author who wrote the short story to Arrival.
Arrival. Yes. Yeah, it's the writer's name is Ted Chiang. I in the titles I say more inspired by than based on because I don't actually take I'm not it's not a straight adaptation of the short story. It's more I took um kind of a major plot device in it, which is kind of like the central computer, right? The main object that my main character is interacting with. I found it to be very interesting. I've always loved sci-fi. I think Ted Chiang is a great writer because he writes about such kind of classic pulpy science fiction ideas, but then he grounds them at a very human level that you don't see in as much in Star Wars or Alien or uh, kind of that more of that area of science fiction, right? And so I really love this work, um, and I kind of just I was just really addicted to this idea of this multi-dimensional computer that you could talk to yourself, but a different version of yourself, and it doesn't last forever. Um, and you know, when you're reading it, it's very much like the device is almost like a mirror, like looking back at yourself. It almost just reflects everything you're afraid of yourself back at you, right? And I really just wanted to take that idea and see how far I could push it in, the short film form, and with as honestly as little dialogue as possible, especially in a
Yeah,
short film. Um, I only had 3 days to shoot it. I obviously had a very kind of grand idea of how it would work and how it would kind of piece together. So I really tried to, narrow my scope and really hone in on this guy's life, this experience that he's having, um, and really nailing that.
yeah. It's funny that you're watching the movie and it's halfway through where you hear the first bit of dialogue,
Right.
or maybe even more than halfway through.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the production of it. You know, shooting mainly in one location, and you had a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
Was it a very boarded process?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm the writer, director, and cinematographer. So I mean, I shot listed everything out. I don't know if I'm like full Ridley Scott or um, who's the other director that like cuts in their head? But I kind of had it cut in my head already
Hmm.
when I started, not fully. The final, at the end, right? There's this long handheld take, right? And I hadn't planned that. I just, you know, we'd set up for the big impact moment of you know when he breaks the thing, right? And I told Chuck, um, who did a great job. I honestly I couldn't have asked for more from him as an actor. That was kind of our we had two cameras up, and that was kind of our master for the end of the movie, right? And I told him, well, you got to go all the way through. And so I watched his performance, and honestly, that changed how I was going to shoot it. Because I had shot listed out a completely different way that was actually way more cut up and way more precise. But then I saw his performance and I saw the rawness of it, and I guess it just immediately kind of clicked to me. I was like, well, this is actually kind of genius than to just go straight to handheld, right? After being so locked down and so precise, for the majority of the runtime, right? To really enunciate his emotional change and the intensity of his emotional state through the camera, right? Um, and so that's kind of how it happened. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of coverage, but I never went overtime. I
No, no, no.
planned.
I mean, kudos to you because if, especially like when you're mainly in one location, right, in that
Yeah,
dimension, you have to break down the story visually to make
yeah,
it to have it have a beginning, middle, and end, and you need the coverage to do that. So you were the editor, sorry, you were the writer, producer, DP. Did you think
director.
you were going to edit it? Director, did you think you were going to edit it or?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I always bring Zach on board because I trust Zach's opinion. And you always need somebody to like watch and and,
Yeah.
and give you an honest critique of your work, right? But uh, not to just keep naming other directors, it is kind of my most Soderbergh trait in that when I shoot something, I do kind of need to cut it together or at least assemble it to see
Hmm.
um, if it works, right? If it's working, if I need to do something else different. So I had a slightly longer assembly that I made. Um, and then, I passed it on to Zach and I was like, hey, man, I need you to I need you to help me clean this up. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think most directors, and I mean you see that with like Sean Baker, he edits his own movies, but a lot of these I think kind of younger directors do have a strong hand in the editing process, and older directors. I mean, I don't think Lynch directly edits it, but he does all his own sound design, right? So he's all up in there as well. So, um,
I always need to have like my Avid in my living room going, especially like when the editor's asleep or hasn't woken,
right,
is
yeah,
taking a break or on the weekend. I need to be testing things out all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, Conrad, we're super pumped to share your movie with the people of Miami and Coconut Grove. Super excited to meet you in person in a few weeks.
Yep.
And yeah, thanks for your trust of your movie down here with us.
Well, thank you, Philippe. Thank you for bringing me into the Coconut Grove family and showing Prism. It's a piece of love and hard work, and I hope everyone can see that on the screen. I hope it comes across. So thank you again. Yeah.